Welcome to a special episode of the G5 Hive. And boy, do we have something exciting for you all today. We have a very special guest joining us. In 2022, he was a freshman All-MAC first team. He was a college football news freshman All-American. In 2023, he was a preseason Group of Five All-American and a preseason All-MAC team. At the end of the year, he earned All-MAC third team honors. In 2024, he is once again a preseason All-MAC team honoree. In 2022 and in 2023, he led Ball State in receiving touchdowns. So far in his career at Ball State, he has 69 receptions for 668 yards and 10 touchdowns. He recently represented Ball State at the MAC Media Days. When we did our Ball State team preview, Rob Calhoun told us to expect big things from him coming in 2024. He is 6'7" tall, weighs in at 240 pounds. He wears number 88 for the Ball State Cardinals. He is tight end Tanner Koziol. Welcome to the show, Tanner.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I guess let's just go where it all started. Who introduced you to the game of football?
Really, it was just as a kid, I was thrown into every sport possible. My dad was an athlete, and it was really, I remember my first practice my dad took me to was the flag football practices that you'd go to. And that was really I just got thrown into it, and I was just like, this is another sport that I play.
So you mentioned you played a lot of other sports growing up. What other sports did you play?
I played a lot. Growing up in the summer, it was always swim team, and that was a big one for a while. And then it was baseball, basketball, football, played volleyball in middle school, and I just did it all. It was really fun. I was always a kid that wanted to be playing a sport. I love the competition, and just like it was something that kept me busy, and I knew I wanted to do it.
Did you play basketball in high school too, or?
Yeah, I played basketball every year except for the COVID year in my junior year.
You power forward, center?
Yeah, but if I'm at Lifetime, I'm sitting in the corner. But other than that, in high school basketball, I was the big guy. Yes.
Coming out of high school, what led you to choose Ball State to further your education and football career?
Really, I've gotten this question a lot, and the best way for me to put it is I knew I wanted to play ball in college, and I wanted to play it at the highest level I could, and the highest level I had the opportunity to. And junior year, I was committed to University of North Dakota, and then COVID happened, and that was kind of like settling in that I was going to be that far from home, I think it was 8 or 10 hour drive, and I was like, my mom and I were both just like, you might want to be closer to home, and I believe that I was capable of getting more offers if I could just get myself out there. So I transferred to Mount Vernon my senior year to play football during COVID because Illinois wasn't. And my buddy Drew Hughes, he's a D lineman at Ball State right now. He was committed to Ball State since our junior year, and we were best friends in high school. And I knew I wanted to, if I could, play with him. And the stars aligned perfectly, and I played in front of Coach New, and I ended up getting the offer. And they offered me thinking I was a hard decision to decommit from North Dakota, but really I knew from the second they offered me I wanted to be at Ball State.
What was it like going through the recruiting process during COVID?
It was weird. I was not a highly recruited kid, so it was mainly just me spamming emails to as many coaches as I could. The same exact template, just change their name, change the school. I probably me and my cousin sent out probably like 500 of those. I was DMing coaches every day. One of my good friends would be DMing coaches for me. I was just doing everything I could to get myself out there and like throwing as many lines out there, hoping for a bite. But at the end of the day, it worked out the way it worked out, and I'm happy it did.
So you just got back from the MAC Media Days. What was that experience like for you?
That was one of the coolest experiences I've had that football has brought me to. It was just meeting all the other guys from the other teams was awesome. I love those Miami of Ohio kids. They were awesome. And just interacting with them, learning about their programs, and then seeing Anthony Munoz and Andre Reed was just surreal as well. Just two of the greatest to ever do it, people that are in the Hall of Fame, and they've really done things in this sport. They've made a difference. It was just a surreal experience, and one of the best parts was getting to know Coach New even better and getting to know Keontae even better, and it just made my hopes get even higher for this season, and it was just an overall awesome experience.
No, definitely a pretty cool honor for you and Keontae. Kind of be it, oftentimes like the folks that are brought to the media days are seen as the leaders of those teams. So that's pretty cool.
Absolutely. It was truly an honor. I feel so blessed for it.
If you could pick two tight ends to train with, learn from, watch film with, etc., who would you pick and why?
I like this question a lot. I would pick one of them would be Greg Olson. That's who I grew up watching. I was an avid Cam Newton fan. He's really the guy that got me into football, like watching it and just getting addicted to it. And then watching Greg Olson, and then you see him in the booth and how he breaks down the game. He's just so knowledgeable about the game, and just how much I could learn from him would be surreal. And then another guy that I would want to would train with and kind of pick his brain is Laporta, because of how quickly he was able to solidify himself into a role on a team. Like, that just doesn't come with being a good athlete. That also comes with a lot of mental parts of the game and being so knowledgeable about the game that you're able to solidify yourself in an offense and you understand it that quickly. So, yeah, Olsen and Laporta, I would say right now.
Those are two good ones for sure. Um, when you're studying film and watching other tight ends, which things are you paying the most attention to?
Yeah, I watch everyone. I watch wide receivers for routes. I watch the tight ends blocking, and really the different things I look for is the concepts that they're in. Like, it's hard to see, but sometimes you can get the overlay on the plays, whether you can see what the plays or not. But the cut ups that we've been able to get of like just like George Kittle backside of inside zone, like just seeing exactly how they attack different looks, how they attack different players, like whether it's a 9 tech, a head up 6, or whatever they're doing. Like, it's good to see what they do, because then I feel like when I see that on the field, when I get that look, I've already seen it 6 times. I've gotten 6 mental reps of it. So that's a big thing along that. But also the same thing with receivers running routes. Like, if I have a 10-yard out versus an outside leverage corner, and I've already watched Garrett Wilson's technique 6 times, then I know exactly like what I have to do. Like, and especially repping it. And it's like, it's the role I play in the offense. I have a big route tree, and some tight ends in the NFL don't run them all, but they can. It's just they have receivers that are so good at running them, they'd rather have them run them. And just, I really like diving into the receiver world as well for routes, because they're really the technicians and just elite at what they do.
So when you're watching defense and studying film on the defense, which things are you paying attention to the most for them?
In the run game, I'm just paying attention to how they attack gaps, the different schemes that their defensive fronts run, like whether they're going to be switching a lot, whether they're going to be movement before the ball, different looks. And that's what we do very good at during the season. Like, if you get this look, we know exactly what to do. But you also have to know you're not going to get that look. Like, it's very possible you're not going to get that look. So you can't freak out. You got to be composed for it. And then in the past game, I just look for different tendencies to how I could create separation. Like, you'll see DBs that are more physical, so it's going to be more of a hand fight with this guy. And if I'm prepared for that, it's going to be a lot easier for me. Or you have the DBs or linebackers that are less physical, and it's really just beating them with speed in and out of breaks, or getting the right leverage to just snap off at the top of the route or break them off. Just like different ways to win, basically, every time.
Last week I was talking to Dominic Mazzotti. He's a tight end over at UMass, and he was telling me about sometimes, like, he can see a tell, and he was telling me about there was this one player in particular where he watched the film and it was very obvious when he was going to pass rush and when he wasn't. And so he said he when the game actually happened, it was it was very easy for him to know what this guy was going to do. Did you ever see things like that where guys kind of give tells in terms of what they're going to do?
Yeah, absolutely. But in terms of pass rushing, I feel like it's almost more obvious with the down and distance most of the time, like especially along those lines. And honestly, if they're pass rushing or not, I'm gonna get my job done, like whatever the look is. So it's like, that's honestly, it's not something I look to as much, but definitely could be helpful.
So, what do you feel is your main strength as a tight end?
I feel like just my main strength as a football player is how big I am and my hands. I would say my catch radius is pretty big. I think that's something I take a lot of pride in. It's something I've just honestly, I was born with it at a young age. I was just the fade ball guy, like just throw it up and go get it. And just, I think my ability to attack the ball in the air is elite, and it's something that I love doing. Like, when the ball is in the air and that's the one thing you can see, like just going and getting it, like there's no feeling like that. Like, there's an addiction to it, seeing the ball in the air and wanting to come down with it. And that's just my favorite part of the game, honestly.
Is there an area of your game that you've worked on the most this offseason?
Yeah, this offseason, I work on all areas of my game. There's no part of my game that can't get better. But I want to really dive into the trenches and be a force in the run game. And that's something that I just will continue to grow on every year and never stop getting better at. And I'm just excited to do that this year and stick my nose in some blocks. And it's honestly, it's a very fun world when you see like a counter game, like counter just split the gap and part like the Red Sea and go for 30 yards. It's a very satisfying part of the game when the run game is going smooth.
What are your goals for 2024 and moving forward? They can be both team and personal goals.
I think we have a team that can do it all. I think we could win the MAC championship, win the bowl game. I think we could beat every out of conference team we have. And my personal goals are being the leader that on the offensive side of the ball that we need to get these guys understanding of what we can do and how we got to do it. Because there's a lot of players that learn differently and take criticism differently. And sometimes when you have a player that can criticize another player instead of a coach, it can get into them a lot easier. And it's just when you have a player ran team or a player ran offense, especially, it's just the motivation in the locker room is different. The vibe is different. Like everyone's understanding of the same goal. And I feel like as a personal goal, I want to challenge myself to be as good of a leader as I can by example and also vocally.
Well, as we mentioned earlier, Rob Calhoun told us to expect big things from you here in 2024, but we wanted to give you the opportunity to shout out some of your teammates. So who are some other players you think we should know about for the Cardinals before the 2024 season?
I mean, my number one is Caden Simonza. I know he's going to light it up. He's going to put the MAC on notice. It's just, there's no doubt in my mind about that. The kid bleeds confidence, and he's just a ball player. He loves football. He loves winning. He hates losing even more than he loves winning. And the anticipation that he has and the confidence he has in his throws is just, it's awesome to see as a like a young kid coming in. It was since day one. It was not just like this year in spring ball. Like when he came in, I knew, like seeing him throw the ball, the confidence he threw it at, I was like, it was just, you felt it. Everyone felt it, and he's going to light it up. And then another one is Justin Bowick. I feel like there's been some talked about him, but he's a freak. He's an absolute freak. He's big. He's lengthy. He could go get the ball in the air. I mean, he's fast. He's really fast for his size. He can move so well, and he's going to be just an absolute force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, Samanza came in as a true freshman last year and started several games for you guys, and you don't see that. So, yeah, obviously he's someone that's very talented and definitely some big things to come for him here in 2024.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So if someone has not seen you play, what one game would you recommend for someone to watch? And it could be a game from college or from high school.
I would say in high school, Mount Vernon versus New Palestine. That was a really fun game. That was the first game that New Pal has lost in 8 years in the regular season, and that was a really fun game. It was awesome. And then college, I would say my freshman year against NIU, I was kind of around that. That was like my big. I feel like that was a game where I gained a lot of confidence in myself and where I proved what I can do. But I feel like I haven't been able to prove as much since then, and that's what I'm really looking forward to being able to do that every game.
If you could replay a game from either college or high school, which game would you replay and why would you replay it?
I was thinking about this. Am I able to help aid in the outcome of the game? Like, can I change?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, my junior year state game. Absolutely. My junior year at NAS, we went to NIU and played against Mount Carmel in the state game, and we lost 36-19 or 39-16, and it was horrible. It was hailing. It was windy. It was miserable, and losing that game, like we've won every game up to that point. And I mean, I still get worked up about it, talking about it right now. That was the worst feeling I've ever had in my life. Just making it climb to the mountaintop and feel like you fell off 10 feet before you reach the top. Like I would go back to that game in a heartbeat and whoop their ass.
Which opposing defensive player has been the toughest for you to go against and why?
There's been my freshman year, my very first game was Byron Young. He was a D lineman from Tennessee. He got drafted in the third to the Rams, I believe. He was just so powerful. Like it felt like his cleats were like cemented into the ground. but he was a strong cat. He was big, physical, and he could move quick. And then also, I thought Quinyon Mitchell, I never really got to experience it as much because we weren't really throwing the ball much last year. But just watching him on film and seeing how he could just like teleport to the ball and like he was just such a smart ball player. Like he was going to the ball where it was. He was in every tackle. He was at every play. He was close to the ball or making the play. And I just thought he was really good to watch on film.
Um, is there a particular routine that you have on game days, or a song or artist that you listen to before games?
Yeah, I listen to Rod Wave. That's one of my favorites. But I also listen to a lot of worship music before the game. It kind of just calms me down and reminds me of my real purpose in this world and why I am where I am. And it's just a very soothing and calming. It just calms me down and it makes me realize like this game is like only a small part of life, but it's what I love doing, and it kind of like that performance anxiety goes down. It allows me to go out there and play a lot more free, and that's something I've kind of come to learn more and more this off season a lot, and just playing with more confidence and like going out there and just playing my game and not worrying about mistakes and just being the best player I could be. That's really music that just locks me into that and has helped me a lot.
You're not playing football. What do you like to do, or what hobbies do you have?
Golf. If I'm not playing football or I'm not in the film room, I'm on the golf course. Absolutely. I mean, I'm addicted to golf for sure. Me and Simonza played a lot of it this summer. We probably played at least 45, 50 rounds together this summer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's such a mental challenge. And it's funny to see Simonza out there and just like how football correlates to golf, like the way you react to things. It's just such a fun sport, and it's a sport you can't conquer. It's a sport that you can only get better at, and you'll never be satisfied with your game no matter what, because it comes and goes. And yeah, I love golf. I could talk your head off about golf for sure.
Yeah, golf is it's like I feel like it's the most rewarding and the most frustrating at the same time.
Easily,
Um,
easily.
it's it feels like it's just so hard, and
So it's a
even
hard.
even the professionals sometimes, shank one. The difference is when they shank it, they can usually recover. I'm usually like if I got hit out of the woods, I gotta take a drop because I don't want to hit it to a tree and hit it right back into my
Yeah,
face.
yeah.
Are you playing the new EA Sports college football game?
I don't play it a ton, but I've played it a little bit. I made a quarterback for Ball State. I beat out Simonza for the QB1 battle. So I've played it a little bit. It's really cool to see. And what I really like is like you go through the whole Ball State schedule, and I could see exactly what every stadium is going to look like. I just think that's really cool.
Yeah, they did a pretty good job on that. Do you think they did a good job on your rating in the game?
Yeah, honestly, I think I'm like a 73, 70, somewhere low 70s. But honestly, I completely agree with it. I know that I have not shown what I can do completely. I know that there's a lot of my game and a lot of consistent domination that I want to show, like play in and play out over and over. Like I know that I have a lot to show, and I'm just excited to do it. And that's why I agree with the rating. I think there's a lot more for me to prove out there.
Well, what's your favorite thing to eat? What's your favorite meal?
Chicken, fried chicken, whether it be my top three, but like in different styles, like a chicken sandwich from Chick-fil-A, Raising Cane's chicken tenders, barbecue chicken nuggets, boneless wings. I'm a big chicken, and then I dip it in whatever sauce you give me.
What's your favorite flavor of boneless wing?
Just classic barbecue, honey barbecue.
Nice. If you could sit down and have a conversation with any three people of your choosing, dead or alive, who would you choose and why?
Right now, I would choose Bryson DeChambeau. I would choose David Goggins, and then I would choose Cam Newton. Actually, no, I'll do Aaron Rodgers instead of Cam Newton. Actually, in terms of a conversation, I would do Aaron Rodgers.
That'd be
Being
an
a Bears
interesting
fan,
one.
I do love Aaron Rodgers out of respect for the game. But yeah, it would be Aaron Rodgers. I think he's a really cool guy, and I'd love to talk to him.
If you had to tell an aspiring high school player what the hardest part of playing college football is, what would that be and why?
The hardest part is to try and not make it your entire life and let it consume you, because I feel like I fell into a trap of only looking at football 24/7. Like there was no time where I was taking a side to myself or taking a side for some of my family members. Like my whole mood would be changed the day after a game or the day before a game, like worrying and like working myself up about it. Just your whole life has to be together for football to come together. And I've learned that, and it's just so true. When your whole life is together, it naturally makes you want to work harder at football, and it just naturally wants football comes a lot more naturally, and it's less stress and more love for the game. And that's something that I would say, just don't like work hard as hell and just understand that that's all you can do. Just put your head down and work, and don't try and control what you can't control.
All right, let's get you out on a fun question. Coach New comes in and says, "No need for pads today, boys. Grab your running shoes. We're doing laps." What position group does your mind immediately go to that caused it?
DBs, defensive backs. Everyone would say it. I'm not. Everyone
No,
would say it.
you are not alone in that comment. It's not. It's. I don't know. I would guess 90 to 95% of the time that's the answer we get, and we have interviewed two DBs now, and even both of them said the DBs.
DBs. I'm happy. I'm happy it's not just us. Great
Well,
guys.
Tanner,
Great guys.
absolutely. Tanner, thank you again for taking some time out of your day to spend with us. We greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was awesome.
If you're watching on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button. If you're listening in podcast form, please rate and review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Thank you all for your support. And until the next time, we are the G5 Hive.